Jesus was a rebirth of that shaman mystic tradition in the first temple, and his teachings were mystical. But the church inverted his teachings into a false myth too, that he was God and you must believe in him to be saved. And in 1945, we found them the Nag Hammadi texts, and in those texts, Jesus is teaching mysticism. He is teaching love as a way of life. He is saying, I did not come to save you. I came to remind you of who you are. It is not enough to follow the Christ. You must become the Christ. What a different teaching. What if everything you learned about reality was incomplete? What if the answers you've always sought were hidden, not in the stories you've been told, but in something much deeper, something few have dared to explore? Betty J. Kovacs, author of Merchants of Light, The Consciousness That Is Changing the World, felt this gap early on. She grew up hearing two great narratives. Religion promised a path of love and ethics, while science reduced everything to chance and matter. But something felt wrong. There was a constant unease, as if the explanations offered were just shadows of the truth. She sensed that the key to understanding reality was in a place no one talked about. Betty Kovacs, who holds a PhD in comparative literature and the theory of symbolic and mythic language from the University of California, Irvine, has dedicated her life to studying these questions. She taught for over 25 years and became deeply involved in the Young Society of Claremont, California. Her journey became an unrelenting search for answers that transcended logic and the limits of the physical body. She didn't just want to believe, she wanted to know. She wanted to experience something beyond religious dogmas or the cold, mechanistic view of science. She delved into ancient mythologies, uncovering traditions that contained secrets about the universe, humanity, and its connection to the divine. But the truth she found was even more impactful than she had imagined. What we were taught was incomplete, distorted. These traditions revealed a dormant power within each of us, a potential that has been suppressed by the forces that shaped the modern world. Now, what is this power, and why has it been forgotten? The answers began to emerge as she immersed herself in the heart of these lost traditions. But the mystery was only beginning to unravel. We were told the story of Adam and Eve, the serpent and the tree of knowledge. They said we were cast out of paradise for disobedience, that the fruit of knowledge separated us from God forever. But what happens when you discover that this story has been distorted? Behind the traditional myth lies a symbol of power and enlightenment that has been lost over the centuries. Long before the story was shaped by patriarchal traditions, there was a profound understanding of the tree of life. In Sumeria, for example, the myth didn't speak of punishment or sin. The tree, laden with fruit, was an offering of wisdom and spiritual ascension. The serpent, so demonized in later versions, represented Kundalini energy, a powerful spiritual force that resides within each of us, waiting to be awakened. What if this force, symbolized by the serpent, was the key to our connection with the divine? The original myth spoke not of prohibition, but of a gift. Those who were ready could partake of the fruit and access higher levels of consciousness, discovering the true nature of life. Kovacs realized that the role of the divine feminine was also hidden in this story. The sacred feminine, represented by the goddess and the serpent, was suppressed, and the narrative became one of punishment and control. But what would have happened if the feminine had remained a central part of this tradition? What secrets would have been preserved? These revelations revealed a new way of seeing human spirituality. But if this power lies dormant within us, how can we awaken it? What would our existence be like if we could expand our minds beyond the limitations imposed by physical reality? And what if, since the dawn of humanity, there had been techniques to access levels of consciousness that transcend time and space? These questions hovered over Kovacs' journey as she wrote. She investigated shamanic practices, some dating back more than 40,000 years. At its core, shamanism is a deeply spiritual practice rooted in the connection between humans and the cosmos. Ancient shamans believed that the physical reality we see is only a superficial layer, a shell through intense rituals, repetitive dances, and the use of sacred plants. They were able to transcend this layer and access higher dimensions, where the mind merged with the whole. But how did they do this? These rituals were not just purposeless. mystical ceremonies. There was a deep understanding of how rhythm, music, and continuous movement could alter states of consciousness. As the body moved and the mind quieted, the barriers between the physical and spiritual worlds began to dissolve. It was at this moment that shamans accessed expanded reality, where everything was interconnected. This cosmic interconnection allowed them to see what many could not: the spirit behind the matter, the eternal flow of energy that moves the universe. However, what Kovacs discovered in her investigation is that these practices weren't exclusive to one culture or time. Shamans around the world, from different traditions, independently discovered how to access these altered states of perception. In every corner of the planet, ancient peoples danced in circles, chanted mantras, or measured the pulse of the earth in unique ways. Yet they all shared a common goal: to transcend the body and access the universal mind. What is most intriguing is that these practices, long considered superstitious or irrelevant by the modern materialistic worldview, are beginning to be today. Science is cautiously starting to explore how these experiences can truly alter brain function. Neuroscience, for example, is studying the impact of shamanic practices and deep meditations on brain activity, discovering that higher states of consciousness can be reached by altering certain neural patterns. Is there something in common between these ancient practices and what we are beginning to understand about the human mind today? Could these ancient rituals carry with them secrets about the true nature of consciousness, secrets that science is only now beginning to uncover? Kovacs wonders, what could humanity achieve if we rediscovered these ancient practices and integrated them into our modern understanding of the mind and reality? The answers aren't clear, but one thing is certain. The ancients knew more about the workings of consciousness than we imagined. Not only did they experience the interconnectedness of mind and cosmos, but they also used this knowledge to heal, transform, and guide their communities. If we could learn from them, what could change in our own lives? By accessing these expanded states of perception, we can discover something even deeper about the very structure of reality. But how does this connect with the ancient traditions of temples and sacred science? Imagine a place where every stone, every column, and every shadow is meticulously positioned to channel the energy of the cosmos. The ancients didn't see their temples as mere physical structures. They conceived of them as portals to something much greater. In her quest to understand ancient spiritual traditions, Betty Kovacs realized that these temples were much more than places of worship. They were, in fact, instruments of spiritual transformation. Cultures such as the Egyptians and the megalithic civilizations built their structures aligned with the stars, the Earth's cycles, and the invisible energies that flow through the cosmos. Modern science is just beginning to recognize the depth of these constructions. Recent studies show that many of these structures, such as pyramids and stone circles, are positioned in a way that amplifies the Earth's electromagnetic frequencies, creating a resonance with the human energy field. These temples were places where ancient people sought something beyond the material world. Upon entering them, individuals were enveloped by an energy that altered their perception and expanded their consciousness. Kovacs discovered that crossing the threshold into these sacred spaces created a kind of spiritual switch. Minds and bodies are aligned with cosmic forces, allowing access to mystical states where the mind is connected directly to the universal energy field. But how did this work? Today, we know that the human body is an electromagnetic field, constantly interacting with its environment. When we come into contact with a place designed to amplify these interactions, such as ancient temples, our minds and bodies can attune to higher frequencies. This might explain why so many accounts of mystical experiences are linked to these locations. These temples weren't just sites for worship. They were machines designed to enhance human connection with the universe. Kovacs also noted that these sacred constructions followed precise geometry now known as sacred geometry. This geometry reflects the fundamental patterns of the universe: spirals, circles, and perfect proportions. By building their temples based on these principles, the ancients recreated the cosmos on a smaller scale, enabling humans to align with the universal flow of energy. This concept, often overlooked by modern perspectives, is slowly gaining recognition as science begins to understand the profound relationship between form, energy, and consciousness. But something even more intriguing emerges from this investigation. Kovacs realized that over the centuries, this wisdom was suppressed. The societies that followed these great builders went out of their way to hide or destroyed the knowledge about the true function of these temples. The connection to the divine and the cosmos was transformed into rigid rituals, stripped of their transformative essence. If we reconnect with this ancient knowledge, what could we achieve? What if modern science, with all its discoveries, begins to integrate these sacred principles? We stand on the edge of a new era, where the past and future collide, and the hidden knowledge of these ancient temples may be the key to understanding the true nature of reality. But this wisdom was not entirely lost. It has been preserved, hidden in mystical traditions that continue to operate in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to emerge again, bringing to light the knowledge that can transform our vision of the universe and ourselves. Throughout history, there have been moments when humanity nearly lost its connection to its true spiritual potential. But ancient wisdom, though suppressed, always found a way to survive. One of these moments of rediscovery occurred in the West when mystical traditions that had been operating in the shadows began to reemerge. This spiritual renaissance wasn't an isolated event, but a process that spanned centuries of religious repression and the rediscovery of hidden knowledge. Betty Kovacs delved deeply into this process of rebirth. Through her investigations, she discovered that mystical traditions, like her alchemy and Kabbalah, never completely disappeared. They remained alive through small groups, secret societies, and hidden texts passed down from generation to generation, defying the official religious authority that sought to control them. These traditions were rooted in a deeper understanding of reality, a vision that saw the universe as an interconnected field of energy and consciousness. During the Middle Ages, the Church made massive efforts to suppress any knowledge that challenged its authority. Many mystical texts were destroyed, and those who dared to explore these traditions were persecuted. However, even under such intense repression, these ideas never completely vanished. They simply changed form, waiting for the right time to be reborn. This renaissance began to gain momentum during the European Renaissance, when thinkers like Pico della Mirandola attempted to unite different spiritual traditions into a single philosophy that could explain the between humanity and the cosmos. Pico believed that at the heart of all spiritual traditions was a common truth. Humanity has the potential to achieve a state of cosmic consciousness where the mind aligns with universal forces. These ideas, though revolutionary, faced significant distance from the Church, which was unwilling to allow such notions to flourish freely. Pico was silenced, his writings censored, and the Church did everything it could to prevent this knowledge from spreading. However, what is truly interesting is that despite these attempts at suppression, the mystical traditions found ways to persist. Secret movements like the Rosicrucians and medieval alchemists continued to preserve and transmit this knowledge through underground channels. Kovacs noted that this mystical renaissance wasn't just about spiritual curiosity, but also a quest for scientific understanding. Alchemy, for example, wasn't simply an attempt to turn metals into gold. It was a metaphor for the spiritual transformation of the individual, the process of transmuting limited consciousness into expanded consciousness, capable of understanding the invisible laws that govern the universe. Similarly, Hermeticism and Kabbalah offered maps of the cosmos that not only explained the physical world, but also the spiritual, connecting the two realities as if they were two sides of the same coin. Modern physics, with its advances in quantum mechanics, is beginning to touch on these same truths. Quantum physicists speak of invisible energy fields, parallel realities, and the interconnectedness of all things. What the ancient mystics already knew through direct experience, science is now beginning to confirm. The question that arises from this rediscovery is, how can we integrate this ancient wisdom with modern scientific knowledge? The mystical renaissance in the West reminds us that there is much more to learn about the mind, matter, and energy of the universe. Modern science may only be scratching the surface of what the ancients already understood about our true nature. But this renaissance wasn't limited to Europe. It expanded and connected to other spiritual traditions around the world, suggesting that the quest for a deeper understanding of reality is universal. What remains for us to discover as we follow this path of rediscovery? For centuries, Ancient knowledge remained in the shadows, kept alive only by those who understood its transformative power. Today, we are witnessing a fascinating phenomenon. Modern science, once distant from mystical ideas, is beginning to glimpse the depth of this ancient wisdom. We are at the dawn of a convergence between what many would call spirituality and the latest advancements in fields such as quantum physics. Quantum physics, for instance, presents us with a universe that is not solid and predictable, but dynamic and deeply intertwined at fundamental levels. This concept of interconnectedness resonates with ancient spiritual traditions that have long spoken of an invisible web that connects everything. Ancient cultures, from the east to the west have affirmed that the reality we perceive is only a superficial manifestation of something far deeper, an energetic field that permeates everything and can be accessed by the human mind. This invisible field, now explored by modern science, echoes what the mystics have always known: the universe is vibrational and every particle is composed of energy in motion. A crucial question is now arising. What is the role of the mind in this vast field of energy? For ancient traditions, the answer was clear. The human mind is a powerful channel capable of interacting with these subtle forces and transforming the reality around it. Today, with advances in neuroscience, science is beginning to investigate how practices like meditation and visualization affect the brain structure, suggesting that our thoughts and intentions can indeed influence the physical world. What if we could use these practices to shape our reality more consciously? Instead of merely reacting to the world around us, we could learn to act more deliberately, aligning our intentions with the principles that govern the universe. But this idea isn't new. Traditions such as shamanism and alchemy have always spoken of the power of intention. They teach that by focusing the mind and aligning with cosmic energies, it is possible to manifest tangible changes in the physical world. Science is only beginning to confirm something that the ancients instinctively understood. The mind is a tool of creation. This leads us to a provocative question. How far can we expand this connection between science and spirituality? As we delve deeper into the nature of quantum reality, we are beginning to realize that what we call matter is merely a temporary manifestation of an underlying vibrational field. What does this mean for human potential? If our thoughts and intentions can affect the world around us, what are the limits of what we can create? We are only scratching the surface of what this integration between science and spirituality might teach us. What was once relegated to the realm of mysticism is now being explored with seriousness. But as we are ready to embrace this fusion, what more can we discover about the power of our own minds? We are living in a moment of great transition. Ancient knowledge, long relegated to obscurity, is now meeting the boldest scientific advances, creating a bridge between the past and the future. This fusion of ancestral spirituality and modern science is revealing something surprising. Human potential is far greater than we ever imagined, and the reality we know can be shaped in ways that once seemed impossible. What does this new age of consciousness mean for each of us? Ancient traditions have always taught that true wisdom lies not just in the external world, but within ourselves. The human mind, with its vast potential, can access levels of perception that go beyond the physical. Yet, for a long time, we lost access to these abilities. We became trapped in a limited worldview, where matter was seen as fixed, and the role of the mind was underestimated. Now, we are beginning to see that there is something more. Discoveries in quantum physics show us that reality is not static. It is fluid, dynamic, and deeply connected to the observer. This echoes what shamans, alchemists, and mystics from various traditions have long known. The mind is not just a passive receiver, but a co-creator of reality. By understanding this, we begin to explore how our intentions, thoughts, and emotions can influence the world around us. But this is not just a theoretical matter. It is an invitation to action. If indeed we can influence reality through our consciousness, how can we use this power consciously and responsibly? Spiritual traditions offer us practices, meditation, visualization, rituals of intention that have been developed over time precisely to help us access and use this potential. Today, science is beginning to validate what the ancients already knew. These practices can alter the mind and, in turn, the world. We are at a crossroads between the past and the future. Ancient knowledge is showing us ways to expand our consciousness, while modern science provides tools to explore these paths with greater clarity. Yet, this journey is only beginning. The ultimate answers have not yet been reached, but the willingness to question, explore, and integrate is the first step. The real challenge now is how we can apply this knowledge to our daily lives. How can we use the power of the mind to foster personal and collective transformation? What happens when we align our intentions with the energy flow of the universe, and how might this impact our relationships, our choices, and even the world around us? This new era of consciousness invites us to look inward and outward simultaneously. We look inward to discover the unexplored depths of the mind, and outward to understand how these discoveries can transform the physical world. We are just beginning to explore these possibilities, understand how these discoveries can transform the physical world. We are just beginning to explore these possibilities, but what has already been revealed is enough to show us that humanity's future could be far more expansive than anything we have imagined so far. However, like any journey, this one also requires courage. The courage to question the narratives we've been given and to explore the unknown. Are we ready to embrace this new paradigm? The answer lies within each of us, waiting to be revealed. Every change starts with understanding your role as a co-creator, and the only way to connect with this divine intelligence is through meditation. We have developed a set of audio tools to help you access this higher state of consciousness. To learn more and get immediate access, click the link on the screen or in the comments. If this video resonated with you, write in the comments, "It made sense to me."